scientists today actually want to go back to the moon and find those bags of shit. Right? Because bags of shit often contain lots of life, lots of microbial life. And they want to know, are they alive? What happened to them? Did they all die? So a lot of scientists are interested in going back to the moon and collecting some of these wasted products for scientific purposes, which I am all in favor for. It was fun to NASA to go back to the moon to find fishes. Okay, we're going to watch...
I love...
These videos just keep sneaking up. We're going to watch a video clip from an Oakland-based YouTube sensation, Scott Manley, about pooping in space, to go a little bit more in depth on what it really was like to poop in zero-G. It's really fascinating. Here we go.
I love got you all here. Let's talk about the whole history of being and pooping in space. Now, as far as I know, the first person to go and do his business in a spacesuit was Alan Shepard, although, to be fair, he was still on the ground. You see, his Mercury 7 flight was supposed to be a short 15-minute suborbital hop. He was placed in the capsule about 5:30. They expected to launch a couple of hours later, and then problems happened, and problems kept happening, and the launch kept getting delayed. And eventually he realized, oh, I'm going to have to do my business here. He did request permission to leave the capsule to deal with this particular problem. However, on this mission, the hatch was literally bolted shut, and it would take them a long time to get it open. So after some discussion with mission control, they turned off the electrodes in his suit, and he let rip. But the first person to actually do the business in space would be Gurman Titov in Vostok 2. Now, on his mission, it was going to be a 24-hour mission. And at 6:30 p.m. Moscow time on August the 6th, 1961, Gurman Titov got to go where no man had gone before. I don't actually have much details for the Soviet space program on what they did. However, because NASA is a US government entity and all their documents are in the public domain, there's a whole lot of detail, like way more detail than you ever want to know about what the Apollo astronauts had to do. And I'm very specifically talking about the problem of going poop. So on the Apollo missions, they were supplied with the latest in technology. They had plastic bags with special adhesive seals, and the idea was you would stick this onto your butt around the important pieces to provide a seal and stop anything floating back out. These were affectionately known as ass gaskets by the crew. Now that might sound pretty nasty to some of you, but it gets worse. You see, in space, it's very difficult for an astronaut to achieve separation from your waste without the assistance of gravity. So because of this, the Apollo bags contained, or they had a little narrow pocket called a finger cot. It's basically something you could push your finger through and it would still be protected by the bag, and you could then achieve separation from the material manually. I would of course use this to push the poop into the bottom of the bag, because the next thing you would have to do is, once you had finished, you would have to remove this very carefully without letting any of the contents escape into the cabin. And indeed, declassified transcripts from Apollo 10 allow you to relive that moment when the crew came face to face with free floating feces. Anyway, assuming you did actually manage to keep everything in the bag, the next thing you had to worry about was the fact that it contains a large amount of biologically active bacteria, and they tend to continue to metabolize any nutrients in there and produce waste gases. So you didn't want the bag kind of inflating up. So to deal with that, you wanted to mix in a packet of germicide into the bag and then seal the bag. The problem is that in zero-G, liquids don't tend to mix naturally, so you had to force the mixing to make sure they were thoroughly mixed. And the method that was used was, again, manual manipulation with the hands. Yes, after going poop in a bag, you had to massage your own still warm poop with your hands. Should I point out that these bags were also made of clear plastic, so nothing was left to the imagination. Not only could you feel it, but you could see it. Anyway, apparently enough astronauts found this experience so unpleasant that by the time the space shuttles were flying with their high-tech vacuum-driven toilets, the toilet was declared a piece of mission-critical equipment such that if it broke and the prospect of using Apollo bags raised its ugly head, they were allowed to scrub the whole mission and return to the Earth as soon as possible.
I bet you all didn't expect all this butt stuff when you entered this room. Sorry, not sorry. So that's how we poop in space. We have toilets now. It can sometimes get backed up, and just the general rule is don't eat brown-looking M&Ms or anything floating in your capsule. Just don't do it. Okay. All right, so you can find these transcripts about